The third cour of Bleach's 1000-Year Blood War arc anime has just wrapped up with one of the most insane finales that had exceeded all of my expectations. The staff over at Pierrot Films really do deserve our thanks, as they did a lot of justice to Kubo's original manga via all of the anime exclusive content and the restructuring of the manga chapters. This had really made Cour 3 feel new and fresh, not only for anime fans but for those who are very familiar with these sections of the manga. Cour 3 wrapped up in a similar manner to the first and second cour, with the final 2 episodes airing at the same time, giving fans an amazing double feature which has left us wanting more. In this video, I want to talk about the third part of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime in its entirety. I'm going to be going over each and every episode and explaining what went well and what could have been done better. Do stick around until the very end of the video, as I will be sharing my predictions for Cour 4 of the anime and what we can expect as the 1000-Year Blood War arc is moving on to the final season, which promises to add over 50% of new content that we have never seen before. So without further delay, here is my complete review for Cour 3 of Bleach's 1000-Year Blood War arc anime. We got really tired of the same old boring anime shirts, so we decided to launch Getsuga.com with the aim of creating designs inspired by our favorite anime and manga. We came up with designs that look cool and represent all of our favorite stories. Check out the latest Instinct collection, which features some amazing designs like this Frosted Heavens design inspired by Toshiro Hitsugaya, or this Instinct design inspired by Hollow Ichigo, and my personal favorite, which is the Heart design, which was inspired by Ukiura Shifa. Do not miss out, go to Getsuga.com and wear your favorite stories. Cour 3 of the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime adapted 52 chapters worth of manga content into 14 episodes, spanning from the midpoint of chapter 609 all the way up until the midpoint of chapter 661. This had averaged at just under 4 chapters adapted per episode. This is a slower pacing than Cour 1 and 2, which averaged at over 5 chapters adapted per episode. Cour 3, with its slower pacing, had several anime exclusive additions which helped to pad out the manga content, adding never before seen flashbacks and fight sequences, and giving some characters some much needed screen time who were severely underutilized during this portion of the manga. They truly are building up to a finale that heavily reworks the manga content, resulting in an entirely new version of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, which fixes the issues that everyone had with the manga. Now, because less chapters have been adapted per episode, very minimal material is cut from Cour 3, as most of the stuff missing is instead altered or reworked. And this is simply because of how Cour 3 has restructured the sequence of events from the manga. Like in the manga, we had Hashward vs Basbi first, this was followed by Mayuri vs Pernida, and lastly Shunsui vs Lil. These fights happened in sequential order and they were shown from the beginning to the end before moving on to the next fight. Contrastingly, the anime had Mayuri and Shunsui's fights shown in alternating order, as both battles were split into 2 parts, and after these fights we then got Hashward vs Basbi. This reordering of events had helped the flow of the narrative, and it really sells this idea that all of these fights are occurring simultaneously. I'm super excited to look back at all of Cour 3, so let's start this overview by discussing how Cour 3 had kicked off with episode 27. Episode 27, titled A, had started Cour 3 by adapting content from chapters 608 to 611. It had served as both a recap and a continuation of the intense Zero Division battle against the Schutzstaffel. The first half of episode 27 had recapped material from episode 26, showing Senjumaru's Bankai in action against the Schutzstaffel, with a notable anime exclusive scene featuring Ichigo and the others reacting to Senjumaru's overwhelming spiritual pressure. This minor addition had once again helped to establish just how powerful the Zero Division members are, with Ichigo explaining how they were responsible for his new powers and training. Episode 27's second half marked the dramatic awakening of Yuhobak's Shrift ability, the Almighty. He had used his power to help the Sternritter escape from Senjumaru's Bankai, and the anime expanded massively on this sequence through an amazing anime exclusive battle between Uryu and Senjumaru, showcasing mysterious new powers as Uryu's eyes turn red with blue Quincy veins around them. The fight had concluded with Uryu appearing to defeat Senjumaru after activating what had appeared to be his holy form, but it was an unrefined and uncontrolled version of it. In terms of production, this was the first episode that the newly founded Pierrot Films had worked on, and it featured some impressive CGI integration, especially during Ichibe's shrine scene, and the episode had ended ended with Yhwach confronting the Soul King, as we had some powerful anime-only visuals of him ascending up Reishi steps while thinking back to the 1,000-year-long struggle of the Quincy which has led up to this moment. We got a post-credit scene which had teased the return of Aizen, as it had brought this moment forward from chapter 616, as it was helping us to build up anticipation for what's yet to come. Episode 28, titled Kill the King, was one of the most stunning episodes within the history of Bleach, as it had adapted chapters 612 to 614, while adding a lot of anime original content which had expanded the lore in some interesting ways. The episode opened with a breathtaking anime original flashback showing us young Yhwach witnessing the Soul King creating the three realms. This had provided some critical context about their father and son relationship and why Yhwach had sought to destroy the current world order. This was followed by an amazing 8-minute original battle sequence between Ichigo and Yhwach, which had showcased their ever-evolving powers, with Ichigo initially dominating the fight until Yhwach had activated the Almighty. The episode made several significant revelations, including the Soul King's true name, which is Adonius. This is a detail that was subtly foreshadowed within Core 2's Ashwaubenon chant. And within Core 1, we saw Uryu reading the journal of Soken Ishida, where the name Adonius was written. The anime showed us some powerful visuals of tremors across the three realms following the death of the Soul King. Episode 28 also featured some touching character moments, like Ukitake treating the wounded Kinpachi, with the episode restructuring the manga's events to better convey the mounting tension, especially in how it had handled Yhwach's explanation of needing Ichigo's unique combination of powers to kill the Soul King. Production-wise, episode 28 marked a clear step up in the quality of the anime under Pierrot Films, with some spectacular animation during the fight scenes and some masterful storyboarding by Taguchi, which had given everything a very cinematic feel. The episode had ended with Yhwach forcing Ichigo to deliver the fatal blow to the Soul King, setting up some major consequences for the rest of the story. Episode 29, titled The Dark Arm, delivered an emotional episode focused on Ukitake's sacrifice, adapting chapters 615 to 618 while adding over 10 minutes of amazing anime original content. The episode had started with 5 amazingly crafted flashback sequences which had explored Ukitake's life, with his childhood encounter with Mimihagi at the age of 3 to his first meeting with Shunsui at the Shinigami Academy, and this culminates towards a emotional scene with Unohana following the death of Yamamoto. These anime exclusive editions brought a lot of depth to Ukitake's character while providing some critical context for his ultimate sacrifice. This episode had restructured several manga events, especially expanding upon the Soul King Palace confrontation, with some new scenes featuring Chad, Yoruichi, and Ganju attempting to hold off Yhwach. Now in this episode, we had the very memorable addition of Chad attempting to land a direct hit on Yhwach, which was a huge moment for everyone who believes that Chad could never lose. Now, the episode also featured a touching original scene between Rukia and Ukitake, calling back to his teachings about the 2 types of battles, where you have a battle to protect life and a battle to defend honor. In terms of production, while less ambitious than episode 28, the episode maintained consistently high art quality under chief animation director Michio Hasegawa. First-time episode director Yong Hoon Jung delivered a focused approach that emphasized character moments and emotional impact, especially during the flashback scenes. The episode concluded with Shunsui arriving within Muken to free Aizen, thus setting up the next major developments within the story. This episode was a great example of how the anime continues to enhance the source material through careful additions and restructuring of the manga. Episode 30, titled The Betrayer, delivered another amazing reimagining of the manga content, as it had expanded upon a brief confrontation in the manga, transforming it into one of the most fascinating episodes of the anime. Episode 30 adapted chapters 618 to 620, as the episode's centerpiece was a 12-minute anime original fight sequence between Ichigo and Uryu, which had culminated into the amazing reveal of Uryu's Volstandig form. The fight was incredibly choreographed, and it featured some amazing new dialogue which finally provided some clear context behind Uryu's betrayal, including his realization of Ichigo's Quincy powers and a powerful monologue about the history of the Quincy and how they have been the most persecuted race within all of Bleach. Episode 30 also gave some much needed spotlight to sidelined characters, with Chad, Orihime and Ganju receiving an anime original fight sequence with the Schutzstaffel. Though ultimately they were defeated, their coordinated efforts showcased some strategic teamwork which was absent from the manga. We also had some anime exclusive scenes of the events that had taken place within Squad 12's lab, and overall the production quality had reached new heights in this episode under an all-star animation team including Zhongji Huang and Yoichi Fujita. They had delivered some fluid combat sequences here and some stunning effects animation, especially during Uryu's Volstandig reveal. The episode ended with a shocking anime original scene of Uryu fatally wounding Ichigo. This was followed by Yuhobak beginning to absorb the Soul King, a sequence that was massively restructured from the manga so that the anime can heighten the tension. Now these changes demonstrate how the anime adaptation is continuing to thoughtfully expand and enhance upon the source material. We then have episode 31 titled Against the Judgment, and this served as a great breathing episode adapting chapters 621 to 624, while weaving in some previously unadapted content from earlier chapters. The episode opened with an impressive sequence of the Soul King's power manifesting as black torrents attacking the Soul Society. This had led up to Aizen's dramatic reveal as the anime expanded Aizen's role significantly, giving him Hashwald's original exposition dialogue about the Soul King's power and adding an interesting interaction between him and Rukia where he acknowledges her growth as a lieutenant. The episode's crowning achievement was its treatment of Shunsui's leadership, as it featured an original 5-minute sequence where he is seen to be rallying both the Shinigami and the Quincy forces with an inspiring speech about setting their differences aside to save their shared world. This addition, along with some reworked scenes of Nanao convincing Kinpachi to stay and the return of the Vizards, had demonstrated again how thoughtfully the anime is enhancing some certain character moments. The episode also featured some touching original scenes with minor characters like Koromadani and Rikichi, as it helps us to focus on the true scale of the conflict by paying attention to characters who are often sidelined in the manga. Now on the technical front, the episode did showcase some impressive hand-drawn animation for the Soul King remnants rather than relying on CGI, with Takumi Ichikawa's cinematic storyboarding elevating certain key moments like Aizen's Kurohitsugi scene. Episode 31 ended with Grimjow's long-awaited return to the story and a post-credit scene revealing Yuhobak's complete absorption of the Soul King, ending on a fascinating cliffhanger. Episode 32, titled The Holy Newborn, had adapted chapters 625 to 629, as it had weaved together Yuhobak's ascension with the preparations of the Soul Society's counterattack. The episode opened with Grimjow's electrifying reunion with Ichigo, bringing his signature chaotic energy into the group dynamic, as we then turn our attention towards Urahara's ambitious plan to reach the Royal Palace. This moment had amazingly expanded upon the manga's explanation, providing new details about the Valley of Screams, as well as the specific mechanics behind their transportation method. In a significant departure from the manga, the episode restructured the sequence of Yuhobak transforming Sylvan into Varaveld. They had depicted him using the Soul King remnants to physically drag and reconstruct the city rather than raising it via telekinesis. They had added to this by giving us an anime exclusive scene showing the Quincy's reactions as Lil Toto, Giselle and Bazby witness the fragments of Sylvan raising up towards the Royal Palace. The anime once again does a great job of enhancing Shunsui's leadership role by giving him more anime exclusive scenes, and episode 32 in terms of animation quality remained consistently high, with particular attention being paid to the surreal visuals of Varavelt's creation and the effects animation for the construction of the gate. The episode successfully balanced these amazing moments with some downtime moments focusing on quieter character beats, effectively setting up for the next phase of the battle against the Quincy, as the Shinigami prepare to confront Yuhobak, who appears to have just absorbed the Soul King. Episode 33, Gate of the Sun, had marked an explosive return to the action, adapting portions of chapters 629, 630, and 635, while introducing us to over 10 minutes of amazing anime original content. The episode opened with an amazing view of Varavelt, with a commanding speech from Yuhobak to his Schutzstaffel, as it perfectly sets up the stage for the next phase of the story, while adapting key manga moments like the Shinigami's infiltration and Lil Barrow's sniper attacks. Episode 33's crown jewel was an entirely original, amazingly animated fight between Renji and Uryu. The fight had demonstrated both combatants at the peak of their power, with Renji unveiling new techniques that we've never seen before following his training with Ichibei, and Uryu demonstrating some unseen abilities like Veda's Winger. First time episode director Dali Chen delivered some amazing action choreography here, especially through Yuki Sato's stellar animation cuts. The episode also gave welcome spotlight to other characters, featuring sharp banter between Mayuri and Kinpachi, Grimjow's tense encounter with Askin, and Lil Barrow methodically eliminating each of the Shinigami. Now, most notably, the episode continued to expand upon Uryu's character beyond what we had seen within the manga, as it had presented him as more of a complex and threatening antagonist. These new content additions included a flashback of Renji's training with Ichibei and some anime original dialogue which had helped us to better understand the motivations of certain characters. Episode 33 ended with a shocking display of Uryu's ruthlessness as he critically wounded Renji, as the anime continues to do an amazing job of building upon Uryu's role as a betrayer. Episode 34, titled Baby Hold Your Hand, was actually the 400th anime episode of Bleach, as the first half of the Mayuri vs Pernida fight was faithfully adapted, covering content from chapters 635 to 640. Unlike recent episodes with extensive anime original content, this episode focused on carefully bringing Kubo's detailed fight scene to life. This was done via legendary storyboard artist Atsushi Wakabayashi, as the episode opened with a brief anime original scene showing Lil Barrow thinking about shooting Uryu. This adds another layer to the anime's more subtle portrayal of how the Schutzstaffel are suspicious of Uryu. The heart of this episode was the amazing dynamic between Mayuri and Kinpachi. This was brought to life through some amazing voice actor performances from Ryusei Nakao and Fumihiko Tachiki. This was before Pernida's reveal as the left arm of the Soul King. Now, Bin Shimada's portrayal of Pernida delivered some bone-chilling screams, which had reminded me of his work in Dragon Ball Super Broly, and this was a very interesting parallel against Nakao, who of course is the voice actor for Frieza. Now, while the episode's CGI implementation for Pernida drew some mixed reactions, the episode maintained the manga's trademark humor through Ikaku Yumichika and Nemu's commentary. Episode 34 ended in the reveal of Mayuri's modified Bankai, setting up next week's shift to Shunsui vs Lil Barrow, as this is what I was talking about with the anime restructuring the order of events so that we can appreciate how all of these events are taking place at the same time. Episode 35, titled Don't Chase a Shadow, had given us an amazing adaptation of Shunsui's battle against Lil Barrow, covering chapters 644 to 649. Under Emma Saito's return to the director's chair following her amazing work on episode 6, this episode gave us a very unique cinematic feel to Shunsui's Bankai. It had emphasized its kabuki play elements through some distinctive art direction and sound design, and the green tinted abyss contrasts with the golden sunlight, creating amazing striking imagery which had elevated all of the manga content. The episode showcased some amazing voice work from Akio Otsuka as Shunsui and Satoshi Hino as Lil Barrow. Their voice performances perfectly captured the shifting dynamic as their battle escalated from Shunsui's playful games to Lil Barrow's divine judgment form. There was also a brief but very important anime original scene expanding Askin and Ichigo's fight, as Askin wonders about Ichigo's royal palace training. This episode maintained some amazing pacing despite covering nearly 5 chapters worth of content, benefiting from the episode's focused approach to the manga. Notably, the production team's creative interpretation of Shunsui's Bankai as a literal kabuki performance was appreciated, as it was complete with traditional sound effects and staging, adding compelling layers to the manga's presentation while remaining true to its themes. The episode ended with the haunting appearance of Katen, as we now shift to the following episode, which is gonna focus on the second half of Mayuri's battle with Pernida. Episode 36, titled Baby Hold Your Hand 2, delivered an emotional conclusion to Mayuri's fight with Pernida, faithfully adapting chapters 640 to 644 with some amazing attention to detail. Under the direction of Young Hoon Jung and legendary animator Masaki Endo's supervision, the episode built upon the manga content via some enhanced gore scenes and some very fluid animation, especially during Mayuri's graceful evasion of Pernida's arrows and Nemu's heart-wrenching sacrifice. The episode maintained the manga's raw emotional impact while also amplifying some key moments, such as making Nemu's death more viscerally disturbing through some detailed animation of Pernida's nerves infiltrating her body. The voice performances here again were exceptional, with Rei Kugimiya delivering a touching portrayal of Nemu's final moments, and Kosuke Toriumi making a triumphant return as Xyle Opero. The episode's unflinching approach to violence and gore surpassed even the manga, especially in the way that it had depicted the bloody destruction of Mayuri's modified Bankai. An interesting post-credit scene was also included, and this featured the Bambis confronting some mysterious new Soldat soldiers within Varvelt. This added some intrigue about Yuhobak's evolving powers as he had absorbed the Soul King. This anime original edition showed us the return of zombified Meninas and Candice, who have some new designs from Kubo's exhibition sketches. And we also had a brief scene which sets up the confrontation between Hashward vs Baz B. Moving on to episode 37 titled Shadows Gone, this had delivered to us an emotional end to Shunsui and Nanao's battle against Lil, adapting chapters 649 to 654. This episode focused on the revelation of Nanao's inherited family Zanpakuto, the Shinken Hakkyokan, while expanding upon Shunsui's complicated past with both his brother and Nanao's mother through some very thoughtfully rearranged flashback scenes. The anime enhanced all of these revelations with some excellent visuals, showing us the Issei clan rituals, as well as Nanao being proficient in Aikido use at the Shinigami Academy. Under Shunichiro Ueda's direction, while staying exceptionally faithful to the manga's layouts, episode 37 shone brightest in its visual effects. Action and effect animation director Takashi Hashimoto delivered an amazing showcase, especially with Lil's trumpet attack, creating what might be one of the most visually stunning sequences in the entire series. The episode also featured subtle but meaningful additions, like having Nanao's mother voice precede her daughters when waking up Shunsui. This deepens the emotional connection between Shunsui and Nanao, as this moment carefully links back to his backstory. Episode 37's pacing allowed the complex family dynamics and sacred weapon lore to breathe while building to a satisfying conclusion to the battle against Lil. With this major fight resolved, the series prepares to backtrack to the highly anticipated Hashward vs Baz B fight as Core 3 heads towards its conclusion. Now, episode 38 titled Friend delivered a very emotionally devastating exploration of Hashward and Baz B's tragic relationship. It had adapted content from chapters 630 to 634 while enhancing key moments with some thoughtful anime original additions. Under legendary animator Toshiyuki Suru's storyboard direction and Dali Chen's skilled episode direction, this episode masterfully alternated between past and present moments, using their first childhood meeting as a heartbreaking setup to their final fight in Varvelt. Episode 38 expanded massively on their shared history through some new anime exclusive scenes, as we saw a haunting sequence which had revealed young Baz B witnessing the destruction of his home. We also have another anime original scene where young Hashward and Baz B are camping alongside a fire, where we learn about Hashward's insecurities about his Quincy abilities and how Baz B had reassured him. The flashback between Hashward and Baz B featured some stunning background art which had vividly brought their past to life, especially in scenes of young Hashward training against the snowy forests. This episode featured some amazing talent from Pierrot Film's finest, including Yuki Sato's dynamic work on Baz B's burner finger techniques, and rather than extending the present day battle, which was always meant to be a tragic execution rather than an even fight, this episode focused its resources on enhancing the emotional impact of their broken bond by giving us some new anime exclusive flashback scenes. The result was a masterclass in visual storytelling, which had helped to elevate the very emotional character arc of Bazz-B and his tragic relationship with Hashward. This now brings us to the Cour 3 finale, which had just aired this weekend, with episode 39 and 40 releasing together as a epic double feature. Episode 39, titled The Visible Answer, adapts just under 4 chapters worth of manga material, spanning content from chapters 647 and between chapters 655 to 659. The episode kicks off with an amazing anime exclusive scene showing Ukitake continuing to release Mimihagi's power, explaining why the 3 realms haven't completely collapsed despite Yhwach having absorbed the Soul King. We also get several amazing anime exclusive additions, like seeing the Vizards rescue and heal Renji after his fight with Uryu, thus expanding upon their role in the story. Episode 39 also features stunning animation during the Gerard fight sequence, with some new scenes of Shinji and Momo working together, as well as Soifon getting some proper screen time that was missing in the manga. This episode also had one of my favorite post-credit scenes in the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime, as it shows Isshin and Ryuken at what appears to be Kanai Katagiri's grave, as this sets up their early arrival within Varavelt, which we see in the next episode. Now, episode 40, the final episode of Cour 3, titled My Last Words, adapts roughly 2.5 chapters worth of content, pulling material from chapters 635, 654, and spanning content from chapters 659 to 661, and they even included a brief scene from chapter 674. This episode massively expands upon Uryu's character through new flashback sequences, showing his relationship with Soken and providing some deeper context for his motivations against Yhwach. The fight choreography between Ichigo and Uryu in this episode was massively enhanced with new Sakuga animation sequences, and we get an amusing but brutal scene showing the Bambis attempting to attack a sleeping Yhwach, only to be defeated by his passive spiritual pressure. One of the highlights in this episode is seeing all of the Vizards return with their hollow masks activated to face off against Gerard. The episode also showed us Isshin and Ryuken appearing within Varavelt way ahead of schedule. Episode 40 ends with an incredible panning shot across the battlefield, showing us glimpses of what's to come in Cour 4, as the post-credit scene focuses on the Quincy Encyclopedia Omake from the 2004 Bleach anime, as Askin is hosting the segment, revealing new lore about Yhwach's original Schutzstaffel from 1,000 years ago. The finale perfectly sets up Cour 4 while expanding upon rushed manga content through thoughtful additions and changes which have all been supervised by Kubo. So Cour 3 has proven to be an incredible achievement, with its slower pacing allowing for more careful expansion of the source material across the 14 episodes that we got. The adaptation averaged at just under 4 chapters per episode, compared to the roughly 5 chapters per episode that we had in previous cours. This had helped us to deeper explore some specific characters. It had also revealed some new flashbacks, while also giving us some all-new anime exclusive fight scenes. I also loved how Cour 3 had restructured some major battles, showing them happening simultaneously rather than sequentially. This had massively helped the flow of the narrative, better conveying the epic scale of this large conflict. Now, as we're looking ahead to Cour 4, we are truly in for something special, as we have only 25.5 chapters of manga content left to adapt across the 13 episodes of Cour 4. This means that we can expect over 57% of new content, which equates to about roughly 7.5 episodes worth of original material, or about 40 chapters worth of manga content depending on how you want to look at it. This presents an amazing opportunity for the anime staff to expand upon some of the manga's most rushed sections here, while giving some proper love and attention to key moments like Urahara's Bankai, Kenpachi's Bankai, Hitsugaya's adult form, and the epic confrontation between Aizen and Yhwach. With the fact that Ryuken and Isshin have arrived at Varavelt early, and the addition of Riruka and Yukio arriving at the Shiba residence to possibly recruit Ginjo and Tsukishima, it's evident that Kubo has major plans for expanding upon some key moments during the final season of the 1000 Year Blood War arc anime. With the promise that we're going to be getting more anime original content than ever before in Cour 4, it does bring up the possibility that we may may be getting hints at Hell Arc content being teased, as well as material from the Bleach light novels being included. I've really enjoyed breaking down and reviewing the last 3 months worth of Bleach episodes every Saturday, and it is upsetting to have to wait now for more, but I hope that Pierrot Films have enough time to work on the final season of the anime. I don't doubt that this will be difficult, as they are essentially working from scratch, as they have only 25 chapters which will be heavily reworked for the final 13 episodes of Bleach. During a recent TikTok live, Kubo teased that Cour 4 is going to feature a lot of new content. He stated that fans will watch some entire episodes and exclaim, "Wow, I've never seen this before." Kubo has been getting more and more involved with each season of the anime, and I am really looking forward to all of the additions that he has made to expand upon the rushed final section of the manga. So that was my complete overview of Cour 3 of the new Bleach anime. What were your thoughts about episodes 27 to 40? Did you enjoy these 14 episodes as much as I did? What were the new additions to the anime that you enjoyed the most? And were there any aspects of Cour 3 that you disliked and want the anime staff to improve upon for the Blu-ray release? I'm really looking forward to reading all of your thoughts about Cour 3, and lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach video. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.